The WordPress sidebar widget function is an incredibly powerful tool that lets the user define what should be displayed in the sidebar or wherever else there's a widgetized area and how it's organized. But every now and then, you want to add some fixed or permanent content to the sidebar, anything from a custom PHP code to an image or something else. Adding fixed elements to the sidebar is no different from adding fixed elements anywhere else. You just have to find the right spot to put it in. If we look at the design mockup of the site, you see that I have some fixed content in the sidebar. It's right here, is this Hansel and Petal Twitter box with a link. It's just an image that's contained within its own box. So what we want to do is add that as permanent content into the sidebar. So even if people add new widgets, all the widgets will appear underneath in a separate box. They won't appear inside here and you can't take it out. The first step to changing the sidebar is the same as with the header, the functions, the footer, and the style. We have to copy over the sidebar file itself. So I'll find the sidebar file in the 2010 folder, pull it over and copy it in. So now I can work with the sidebar file. Next, I'll go to Eclipse, refresh the list, and open sidebar.php. And here we have the entire sidebar code. And I'll explain all of this in due course, but for now we're just going to add some permanent content. Adding permanent content is actually ridiculously easy. All we have to do is go in and add a new list item here. So li, and I'll give it the ID permanent, just so I know what it is. And then I'll just put in some text. This is some permanent text. And I'll close the list. If I now save this sidebar.php file and go to my site and reload it, you'll see that we now have this is some permanent text at the top of the sidebar. And even if I go into my widgets now, and I'll reload it just to show you that it's still there, and let's say I'll move recent posts up over search and reload it again, you'll see that this is some permanent text still appears at the very top, because this is truly permanent text. It'll be there no matter what we do. But that's not really what I want. I wanted that big image, and I want it to appear inside its own box. As you can see, this is just one long box that displays everything. Of course, first I need to get the actual image itself. So I'll go to my exercise files, and under Assets, I'll find the image, HP on Twitter, and I'll pull that into my Images folder. So I'll just copy it into my Images folder. And now I have an image there that I can call. The next step is to add some code here, first to call the image itself, and then to place it in its own box. So I'll take away this permanent content that I created, and I'll go to my code snippets file, and I'll find the code I need. So here you see list ID permanent, and then a bunch of code. First, I'll copy that and paste it in where I had the permanent content before. And as you can see, this is fairly basic stuff. It just says list item ID permanent, and then it gives you the href to my Twitter account, Morten, because Hansel and Petal doesn't actually have a Twitter account. It also has the title, because this is a link. There's a target, which is the blank, so that it opens in the blank window. And then you have the image link to the actual image itself. Notice this function, get style sheet directory URI. This gives us the URI to the directory the style sheet lives in. In other words, it gives us the actual link to our child theme. So this links to the child theme, and then we say images, HP on Twitter, which is the image we added, and then just the alternate description and the target again. If I now save this, and I reload the page again, you'll see we now have that image at the top here over recent posts. And just like with the text we had before, if I try to change the sidebar, it'll still appear at the top. But I wanted this to be in its own box, so I'll add a little bit of more code. So if we go back to our code snippets file, you'll see here I added some additional stuff like the div ID fixed, and then another unordered list. So I'll simply copy all that content, go back into Eclipse, and I'll take this out, and then I'll add that content over div ID primary. So now we created a whole new box called fixed that has a list in it that has the actual link. So when I save that, reload it, you see we now have a box that's on its own at the top that displays the link, and no matter what we do to the sidebar widgets, even if we delete them altogether, this image link will still appear. Adding fixed content to your sidebar gives you the ability to lock in certain elements of your layout. This is especially effective if you want to add advanced content or want to add, for example, an information box at the top or bottom that can't be moved or changed. This is also the method you'd use to insert more customized controls or containers for the general widgets, which we'll get to next.